Hello, Pickled Onion Knight here, and I'm going to do another one of these sort of catching up videos because, as you may have noticed, nothing's gone on the channel since about October. Now, I'm not going to get too much into it, but suffice it to say, it's been a question of time and money. Quite a lot of stuff has been going on, and pretty much all the YouTube stuff's gone onto the back burner. I'm about to do another pickups video, and as usual, before I do a pickups video, I want to just address sort of where I want to get to and my plans for the foreseeable future with regard to the YouTube stuff. Now, basically, it's going to be exactly the same because everything's been sort of put on hold for a few months. Everything is pretty much the same plans as I had originally, with one notable exception, which I will get to. So it's still my intention to finish the Final Fantasy videos. It's still my intention to get the Zelda 3 videos up. It is still my intention to get the Nier videos up. I am going to be knocking No Man's Sky on the head for the simple reason that every time I go on to play it, it seems there's a different update that's completely changed everything. So it's basically made all the videos that I've done on that game obsolete, by and large. In fact, mostly obsolete. So it seems like a bit of a waste of time. And I can just see myself doing another sort of, say, 20 videos on it. And then it's all going to be obsolete again. So it's kind of not. It's made itself not worth doing. The game has changed so much that the stuff I did originally isn't really relevant anymore. So it does seem like a bit of a waste of time carrying on with that particular game. What else did I want to address? Yeah, so I'm still going to be doing the game pickups, the stamp stuff, which has received quite a lot of views actually, surprisingly, because I didn't think that many people were interested in the stamp stuff. But as I said in a previous video, I don't really know where to go with that, other than when I get new things, sort of showing them, because I'm sort of at the point where I'm getting towards the end of what I actually need, and then I'm sort of done. And the only stuff that's coming in is the newer stuff. So I mean, I could show that off, and there should be a big order coming in the next couple of weeks, because that's another thing that's been put on hold because there's been some financial issues, and obviously, I haven't really had the time to enjoy the things that I already own, so I haven't really bought that much new stuff. I've bought a few new things, but I haven't, like with the games, like with the stamps, they're always going to be there, and they're made in their millions. I mean, it's not as if it's an opportunity where I have to pick them up at a certain time, because I get them all online anyway. Whereas with the games, I sort of pick them up as I go, try and get good deals and things. But stamps are pretty much the value they are is the value they are. You're not really going to save any money by picking them up today as opposed to in 5-10 years time. It doesn't really work like that with them. So they can very easily be sort of sidelined, if you see what I mean. So that's it really going to be it. No, I did have plans, and I did mention this a couple of times, and I in fact did start that arm of the channel where I was going to be doing some stuff on homebrewing and things like that. Now, again, thanks to time and really needing the space for things, although I mentioned that I did want to go forward doing that, I have actually had to get rid of all my homebrewing stuff. I just didn't have the space for it anymore. I'm not going to go into that, but the fact is it all had to go. It was taking up too much space. I wasn't getting around to using it, and it just seemed like it was more hassle than it was worth having it all. So if I do fancy going back to that in the future, it does mean buying all the equipment again. But that entire bit that I wanted to do going into the future, and in fact I've pretty much all but given up drinking now, so it's a bit pointless making doing sort of home brewing projects and things like that if you're not actually going to drink the things that you make. So that's another thing that's happened. So yeah, that's not going to be happening now. So anyone that did remember when I mentioned that a couple of times and was looking forward to that, then sorry, you may well go and subscribe somewhere else. But yeah, so I mean, this is basically for the people that have already subscribed to the channel, just to let you know what's going on. My aim is to try and get one video out a week. Now, that's usually going to be on gaming or something like that. It may well be a stamp one, at least 1 week, because like I say, I should have more stuff turning up in the next couple of weeks. But the stamp one will basically, just be showing off sort of the newer stuff. So if you're interested in the older stuff, none of that's going to be there. I haven't picked up any new. I was going to say any new old stamps, but you know what I mean. I haven't actually bought any older stuff in a while. Although saying that, I do plan on going to a stamp dealer in the next couple of weeks to see what he's got in stock. But generally with this guy, he hasn't got an awful lot of old stuff that I want, and it's likely that I'm only going to be picking up a couple of extra sort of £2 coins to fill up my collection, or £5 coins to fill up my collection. So I'm likely not going to be buying any stamps off him, unfortunately. But with the game stuff, I can absolutely carry on with that. It is literally a question of finding the time. Like I say, the Zelda walkthrough is done, pretty much. I've just got to narrate it. I did have a problem with the audio recorder that I was using. I did get round to actually narrating the video that I had left, and then I found that the audio was completely unusable because something had basically gone wrong with the recording. I should have checked them as I went along, but I didn't. I did the whole lot, and then realised that the audio was terrible. So I'm going to have to basically record them again, or record the voiceover again. So yeah, that's what put pay to that. Anything else? Yeah, so I still plan on doing my personal history with gaming. I still plan on doing the sort of the general history of games consoles, but from a British perspective as opposed to a US-centric one, which seems to be the form on certainly on YouTube. It's all does tend to be US-centric, and a lot of UK and European stuff doesn't really get a look in. I am planning on doing a little bit of TurboGrafx stuff from the PAL perspective. You may have seen the video that went up, sort of giving an overview of the console. I've acquired a few extra bits now, so I may well go a bit more in depth with that. But other than that, hopefully it's going to be business as usual. Now, it's half term at the moment, so I've found some time late on to actually get this recorded, and hopefully I can do a pickups video within the next couple of days. So that'll probably go up a week after this one. And what I normally like to do is go through the comments for these kinds of videos and sort of do this audience participation thing and answer any queries or any critique, I suppose, that people have got. So let's just go through that. Now, Peter Rota writes, very good therapy from that psychiatric hospital you are inmate to let you create this YouTube videos. Yeah, that sounds to me like a criticism. I've no idea what video that was on, but I'm assuming it was one that disagreed with whatever he thought. So there you go. Retro Robbie writes, Nier looks good. Yep, thank you. It does. It is really good. Leonel Gutierrez Martinez writes, I don't know what that means. Right, UFOs are chariots. Oh, here is my rant. Mini everything has been announced and every single one of them has fallen short. Neo Geo Gold has poor emulation, NES Mini has very little games, Genesis Plug and Play Mini has the games but subpar emulation and audio and crap controllers. Now I think this was left on the... I tried to do like a comedy video on a GX 4000 Mini. No, it was a lot. I think it was a lot funnier in my head, and as I was trying to write it, than it came across on the video. And for that, I'm sorry, but hopefully everyone got the point I was trying to make. There are a lot of these mini consoles about. No, I got a lot. I got an awful lot of negative feedback from one that I tried to do. This was about 2 years ago on a N64 Mini. And that was basically another sort of answer to that. Now, I agree with most everything that this person has said. Apart from, the NES Mini does have very little games, but if you know what to do, you can actually add your own. So that's sort of solved that. And the Genesis Plug and Play Mini, well, that's the At Games one. Or it was when he was writing this, where there is a new one announced that I'm actually quite looking forward to and seriously thinking of getting. He hasn't mentioned the PlayStation Mini, of course, but then I haven't got one of them, so I can't tell you if that's any good or not. General consensus seems to be it isn't, but you can modify it. Oh, hang on. No, there's a second bit to that I've missed. He's got a bit in here at the end. Of course, the TG Mini still isn't thought of. That is a very good idea. But I doubt it would happen because I'm not sure. Is NEC or Hudson's? I mean, Hudson. It was a collaboration between NEC and Hudson Software, and Hudson is now Konami. So presumably the rights for most of the games on that would be held by Konami. I don't know. Anyway, nobody could properly nail down a Game Boy clone. And he has actually mentioned the PS Mini, and we'll see how great the PS Mini sucks too. Lol. Yeah. Well, there you are. You have that as a Game Boy clone would be good, but I'd quite like to play Game Boy games on a television as opposed to on a Game Boy. Not really a sort of handheld fella. Anyway, next comment. Patricio Rosales Rodriguez. Nice video. Hi from Peru. Oh, hi Peru. It's nice to know somebody's watching my stuff from that far away. That's nice. Rain Andre, Charlie bit my finger. I don't know what that's in reference to. I mean, I know the Charlie bit my finger video, but I don't know what that's in a reference to that I've done. But all right. Spooky Electric writes, "It is so odd to watch Ridge Racer without the music. That's half the appeal. And unlike games like Wipeout or Gran Turismo, all the music is made in-house by Namco producers, so you wouldn't get the copyright claims you were fearing." Oh, well, that's good to know. But I'm not doing it again, so yeah, tough. Sorry. I don't want to take the risk because they've changed the rules on copyright claims now, and I think it's three and you're out basically. So I don't really want to take the risk with anything if I can help it. I mean, I say better safe than sorry, really. That's another thing that I do want to make headway with is doing them PlayStation 3 reviews. I know everyone hates them. I don't care. But the fact is, at the moment, my PlayStation 3 isn't set up. So, and honestly, quite a lot of my games aren't here for the PlayStation 3. So that it does make it slightly less than straightforward, but it can be done. It's just finding the time to do it, like everything else. Anyway. Marcus Tyler writes, "Thank you, this video has been a great help in my decision to start collecting stamps." There's a little thing flying about here. Go away. Well, thank you, Marcus Tyler. Glad I could help. And like I say, there will be possibly... Well, I'd like to be optimistic and say, oh yeah, I can do loads of stamp videos, but honestly, I can't think of much more to do with them other than going, here are my stamps. I mean, I don't know any further than from the end of my nose, to be fair. What I collect is what I know, and I don't really know anything about stamps that I don't collect, if you see what I mean. So I collect UK stamps, UK issued stamps, and I have no real basis for talking about anything other than UK stamps, because that's what I've always historically collected. I don't really collect foreign stamps or misprints or anything like that. Only officially issued UK stamps. So I'd love to say I'd do more stamp videos, but honestly I can't think of a reason to, other than just showing off when I get new ones, which is at the very most is going to account for about one video a year, if I'm honest, unless I get something really good. I'd love to do more, but I can't think how. Right. Did you ever finish this? Right, VBD Ev Pro. And this is in relation to the Ubuntu stroke RetroPie full PC emulator setup. And this is something I did want to touch on. No, I didn't ever finish that. And that also came down to time. But it basically came down to the ease of it. Now, when I decided to start doing that series, not long after I decided to do it, two major things happened. Number one, I realised that if you want to have arcade games and start doing it from scratch now, it is so difficult to do. You need to have different sets for different versions of MAME. Now, some things work with different versions, but not all do. You need to have all different file sets for them, and MAME is just when MAME started out, and I first started using it. I'm talking about 98, 99, early 2000. It was so easy to use. You got the program, you got the ROM set, you typed a couple of lines of code, and you were done. There was none of this matching ROM sets to this version of the program, or matching ROM sets to that version of the program, or then the program updates, so now you need to go and find another ROM set. It didn't work like that. It just worked. It was fine. Now, if you want to have a MAME setup and a full ROM set, I mean, literally you're talking, I can't even remember what it is. It's something unfathomable. It's like 400 or 500 gigs worth of stuff, which is insane. I mean, it is literally insane. MAME is now bloatware of the highest order. It suffers from Microsoft Office syndrome. I can't fathom why it needs to be that way, because as far as I'm concerned, there was something like, I mean, even in the year 2000, there was something like, 5,000 games? You're not going to play 5,000 games. Why do I need a load of games from the late 90s and the early 2000s to have to be included on a ROM set so that everything works when I'm not going to play most of them? Because arcades didn't really exist then. But aside from the rant, there's another reason why I didn't do it, and that's because the whole emulation scene has sort of changed now, and it's not, as a novice, it's not very easy to set things up anymore, unfortunately. It's not very easy to get hold of ROMs for anything anymore, because they've all been frightened off by Nintendo. And lots of the ROM sites that are actually still going aren't proper ones. They're not proper ones where you press a button and then you wait 30 seconds and then a thing downloads. What you do is you press a button, you wait 30 seconds, 33 different ad pop-ups turn up, and suddenly you find your computer's full of malware. It is not as easy to get ROMs as it used to be. So your options for doing it now are getting quite kind of limited. Now, either you need to have You know, you need to be quite savvy with torrents and things like that, and actually be able to use torrent sites in whichever country you live in. Unfortunately, the UK has closed quite a lot of the torrent sites, so then you need to get hold of the I forget what they call them, the little tiny files. So somebody has to go to a torrent site, find the little file, send it to you, and then you can download the torrent. Or you need somebody that's willing to share a ROM set that they've already got. So again, that's, you know, going to forums and asking nicely and hoping somebody gives you a link that isn't for one of these things where you've got to sign up for a 30-day trial or whatever. And to be perfectly honest, your alternative now is just to buy a ready-made drive. I mean, if you genuinely want, it is just so difficult and so complicated. It seems the emulation scene has got so complicated in the last couple of years that it's just not easy. I mean, the only way I would do it really now is just do everything on RetroArch. If you can do it, just do everything on RetroArch. Linux is probably the most simple way to do it, but then you're not going to be able to get half decent emulation for all the systems that you want. But failing that, just honestly buy a third-party drive and stick it in your computer. Is basically what I'd advise now. If you want to start from scratch with nothing downloaded and no experience of doing this, just buy a third-party drive. Honestly, for the £200 or so that you'll spend, you will save yourself weeks of hassle. And that's basically why I didn't finish this. So there was more reasons than just the original two. Now, Darkshade writes, good video, mate. You nailed it. I had an Amiga 500 and loved it, although I preferred my Mega Drive. I later got an Amiga CD32. Was okay for a while, but nothing impressive. Just today sold my CD32 with 2 pads, 8 games, including Zool 2 and Gloom, Fire and Ice. Sold for £20 with no power supply. Good deal, ? Absolutely not. You undersold that, even with no power supply, if it works. A working CD32 with 2 pads and 8 games, nah, you let that go for far too cheap. I would have probably offered you nearer 100 for that. But, yeah. 2 pads as well. I mean, you very rarely see a CD32 with 1 pad that works, but okay. Yeah, no, sorry, you did yourself out of some cash there. But then, I suppose if there was no power supply, I suppose you couldn't have sold it as tested if you don't have a power supply, could you? So maybe if you sold it as untested, that might be. But even then, the 8 games are going to be worth more than £20. If you're selling stuff, sell it separate. You'll get more. Anyway, Dizzy Hippie, haha, first try Ogre. Okay, that was on one of the Final Fantasy X videos, and that has oddly been one of the most watched. Is the one how to find Ogre in the Calmlands. Now, if you haven't been watching the Final Fantasy X videos, that's not going to mean much to you. But I remember when I first played it having a lot of trouble finding where Ogre actually was in the Calmlands, and it seems a lot of people do, because that has probably been the most watched video in that whole set by quite a way. So that must be a common issue. Robert Bridge writes, good information, glad I found your video. Again, that was on another one of the stamp ones. Right. Real Sama writes, hey, great video, I followed your tutorial, but do you have a video about getting a track mode installed? No, I don't. And again, for the reasons I just outlined a couple of minutes ago, I probably won't. A track mode's one of them things. For what it tries to do, is really, really good. But the setup that goes into it, and bearing in mind that it comes with a lot of... it's very video intensive. So, depending on how big the videos are, and bearing in mind that you're going to need them, like, I mean, literally, if you were doing a full RetroArch set, say, you're probably talking somewhere in the region of 20,000 games, maybe even more. And that's if you include MAME and stuff that was on computers and things like that. And that's not including any PC games or anything sort of that you wouldn't normally expect. You know, stuff that you're not actually emulating, just playing through the system. And this is the problem with things like a track mode. Is because it relies so heavily on like video content and things like that. You have to go and find that content. Now, either you sign up and pay to an arcade site to get that content, or you find it yourself and you hope that everything matches up as it should. I mean, because you're not going to go through and manually check that 20,000 or so videos add up. So a track mode is one of them things. If you're willing to put the work in and set it up correctly and make sure it all works and make sure it all matches, you know, check that the artwork matches the sort of bezel and the video, and the video actually leads to the game that you want, then it is absolutely blinding. But I would still argue that you're much easier just buying a preset up drive that has it on, honestly. And they're illegal to sell. They're illegal to sell, probably illegal to buy as well, but it doesn't stop people selling them. So that might be a better option. So it comes down to that again. It's so much work to set up. You're probably saving yourself an awful lot of time. But I don't know. I do like tinkering with things, but if you're like me and you haven't got 50 hours to spend doing it, maybe don't. Vernon Goddard writes, good to know how you collect and why. We're all... this will be another stamp one. We're all different in the range, condition, etc. of stamps we collect. Mine are Great Britain, Commonwealth and other countries I'm interested in. Well, you're doing better than me because I only collect Great Britain. Well, that's the end to that. Okay. Yeah, that seemed fairly positive. Thank you very much. Philip Watson writes, or Philip Watson 5, writes, nothing wrong with being an avid collector. I am getting a metal detector soon. Can't wait for that. Well, fantastic. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever said there's anything wrong with being an avid collector myself, but maybe sometimes, you feel down about it. You think, I could really do with not collecting all this stuff. But apparently it is a mental illness, so it's not really my fault. It's just the way I'm built, I suppose. Metal detecting, never really been my bag. I know a couple of people that do it, and they apparently love it. So, the only thing I do know about metal detecting is you really, really, really have to get permission from wherever you're detecting. And if you find anything of historical value, you do have to notify people. That's the only things I know about it. But yeah, sounds like fun. Well done, you. Maybe you could start a metal detecting YouTube channel, because the people that are interested in it seem to be really interested in it, so it might go down really well. You probably get 1 million views. So do that, Philip Watson 5. I wonder is that a person or a band? The Philip Watson 5. Yeah, it could be a band. Patience Zero. I see what you've done there. Going to a dealer, you are paying for a de facto certifier and appraiser all at once. There is value to that. So of course a dealer is going to charge you more than going to eBay. Yeah, no, this is this has been edited as well, so it was probably more scathing than that in the original post, which I haven't had a chance to see. Well, yes and no. You are you are paying for a de facto certifier. Okay, I'll give you that, and appraiser all at once. But that doesn't mean that the stamps he's selling you are actually higher value. Because to be perfectly honest, when I go to the stamp dealer that's local to me, I already have a rough idea of exactly what I'm looking for and in what condition I'm looking for it. And if I go in there and I think he's charging too much, regardless of what his expertise may be, if I think he's charging too much, I'm going to say no. Sorry, that's too much. I don't like being overcharged. It's different. If I didn't know for a fact that most dealers buy their stuff in massive lots, they pay next to nothing for most things. I mean, they will buy massive lots. If a stamp dealer has spent £100 on a lot of stamps, you can guarantee they're looking at throwing them out for at least 10 times that, maybe more. So it's what you're willing to pay for this de facto certification. Bearing in mind there is no real certification with things like that. It's either in the condition that is sellable or isn't. I mean, there's no, just just because a stamp comes with a certificate doesn't make it worth any more. And in fact, I don't think I've ever seen a stamp with a certificate. So I don't know what I don't know what an appraisal of a collection adds to the collection, to be perfectly honest. Unless you're selling it, I don't know what an appraisal adds. So I'm not sure I do agree with that. There may be a value that is added to it, but not to the extent that some dealers choose to add to it, if you see what I mean. I know they're in business, I know, but they have to appreciate also that whereas stamp dealers had the monopoly on the stamp market up until, say, 20 years ago, they have to appreciate that no, they don't. And I can go anywhere else. So therefore, if I am walking into your shop and I want to buy £200 worth of stuff off you, I reckon you can give me a deal, because I can always say no and just go and spend the same £200 on exactly the same stuff from somebody else. It is a buyer's market now, unfortunately. Sorry, stamp dealers, that's the way it is. It's a buyer's market now. Tough, basically. So yeah. Backlog Games writes, excellent and comprehensive. Also, I have done this is on the Wii U. This is on the Wii U collector's video that I did. It's the only Wii U video I've done. So that one, excellent and comprehensive. Also, I've done a factory reset on a couple of systems with a game installed in it, and it was still there after. Does it not always erase? The answer is I don't know. Because I've only got one, and it didn't come with built-in games. It's the original one that came with Nintendo Land on a disc. So the simple answer is I don't have a clue. The only Wii U I own is the one that I showed a year and a half ago that I bought. So yeah, does it not always erase? Maybe somebody could go to that video and answer his comment if you fancy. Telecarter writes, usually people complain about the lack of content. You choose career mode and complain about all the things to do on the career part. This game was ahead of its time. Now that is on the Formula 1 Champion Edition video, or Championship Edition video for the PlayStation 3 reviews. And I think there was too much to do. I think I said on the video, and I want to play a game that is a game. I don't want to have to earn my stripes, as it were. And this goes to a lot of racing games. Now, I used to be a big fan of Gran Turismo. And the only sticking point for me playing that game, the original one was the license test. Now, it wasn't so bad with the original game because you could do the entirety, if you were good enough, you could do the entirety of the license test, even with a bronze cup on each one, so you wouldn't get the prize car or anything like that, but you could do the entirety of them in under an hour. That's the B, the A, and the A Super, as it was in the original game. And under an hour I don't think is too bad, but bearing in mind when I played this game, the Formula 1 Championship Edition, I have to start from the beginning, and basically I managed to get, one race in? Not even that, and it was like a practice and then a mini race, and it's like I don't want to have to buy a game and then go home and pretend like I have to play from the beginning of a race driver's career. If I just want to go to a track, even if I have to start the season, in Albert Park or something like that, I just want to say, right, okay, I am Lewis Hamilton, I'm going to sit in a Mercedes, or I suppose a McLaren as it was at the time, and I just want to race. I don't want to have to go through the testing, I don't want to have to go through the qualifying. It would be nice to have it as an option, but, I don't want to have to sit through that, and that was what it was. It wasn't that I was, people do complain about the lack of content, but for me, for certain games, it's not that I complain about all the things to do in a career mode. It's all the things that I have to do. It's the hoops that I have to jump through. I've got no choice. If I want to play the proper game, I've got to spend the first X amount of hours doing this, and this. It's the same reason I don't like tutorial levels. Okay, tutorial levels were not needed in games sort of 10, 15 years ago, albeit games then were a bit more simpler. I don't like to have to do it. Oh, I have to do this now. It's so annoying. And it's that sort of thing that just annoys me. I just want to press a button and be playing a game, I don't want to have to jump through all the hoops just to play the content that I've paid for. But that's just my opinion. I mean, at the end of the day, that's basically what a review is. It's an opinion. And if you don't like it, then, disagree. And maybe the game was ahead of its time. But the fact is, because I have to do all that stuff, I'm never going to find that out because I can't be bothered. I don't have the time, and I just can't be bothered. I am not going to... Anyway, I think I've made my point. So for you, maybe. For me, no, sorry. I haven't got time for that. And like I say, something like MotorStorm, it's just basically, here's the car you have to have for this race. Bang, okay, fine. Oh, no, I'm racing. That wasn't so difficult. That's why I like it. So that's that. Now, hopefully I've tried to explain myself a bit clearly. I didn't bring any notes, other than, obviously, the comments themselves. So hopefully I've given an idea of what I want to get done. Now, I mean, I'm basically, not to put too fine a point in it and not going into anything personal that affects anything, but I'm basically waiting for the next disaster at the moment. But if that doesn't happen and everything is fine, then hopefully from this point on there should be at least one video going up a week. When it comes to the stuff that I've just got to narrate and throw up there, it may even be 2 a week. I'm obviously going to be doing more live stuff here. There's still a pickups video yet to go. Now, I probably won't record that until a few days after this one. But hopefully once this one goes up, it will be the start of more stuff coming up. So what do we know? It's the end of May now, so I can visit this will be going up on the 1st of June, or the first week in June, and then hopefully it'll be one a week after that. Now, one thing I did want to mention before I go, one of the last videos I put up was on the London Games Market, which I I thought I'd get more comments on that actually, but I haven't really, and I don't really know why. I don't know whether that means that everyone else who went that day thought the same thing I did, so then thought, well, it's not worth commenting, or everyone was so upset that they disagreed with me wholeheartedly. But it's sort of, that was one that I was definitely expecting some backlash on, which didn't happen. So I don't know whether I should be worried about that or not. But anyway, the point is, I am going to the Doncaster Games Market on the, what is it, the 29th of June? I think it's either the 29th or the 30th of June. But the fact is, I'm going up to Doncaster for the weekend. I'm going to be there for the weekend. So if anyone knows of anything else gaming related, or even just sort of generally fun to do in Doncaster, then that would be magic. Send me that as a comment. I will mention this again in the pickups video, because that will probably be the next big pickups. After that will be whatever I find there, hoping that I do find stuff there. And if you've been before and you can recommend stuff for me to look out for while I'm there, just to give a rough idea, I'm trying to build up some TurboGrafx stuff, so that would be really useful. I'm also, I used to collect Games Master magazines, and they've obviously got lost somewhere. They were either left in the old house, or they've ended up in the bin or something like while I wasn't looking. And I'd quite like to get a few of them replaced, especially from the early years. So if you're at Doncaster and you are selling Games Master magazines from 93, 94 and 95 specifically, then yeah, I'd be there with them, because if they're at a reasonable price. I mean, if you want like 10 quid an issue, forget it, but you know, if you're getting rid of stuff, then yeah, that'd be great. So basically, if anyone knows anything about Doncaster that weekend, if anything else is going on, obviously not on the Saturday, because that's when I'm going to be at the Games Market, but I'm going up on the Friday, coming back on the Monday, so anything that's going on the Sunday, the Monday morning, or the Friday night, or even the Saturday night, I suppose, let me know. Or recommend somewhere, or whatever, or a nice place to eat, or I don't know, whatever you like. But yeah, so that is going to be a thing, and yeah, I'll just end on that. So yeah, the next video is going to be a pickups video. There's going to be hopefully content eked out, done the audience feedback bit. And to be fair, it was the comments were a lot nicer this time than in the last ones of these I did. But I don't know whether that's the YouTube spam filters have got a lot better, or not. I'm not really sure why. And yeah, I was expecting a lot of comments on certain things that didn't happen, and a lot of comments that I did get were on videos I wasn't really expecting it. So well done to you for keeping me surprised. And I have been the Pickled Onion Knight, and I will see you in another video.